Pro-Vice-Chancellor of our dear university. Of course, I'm recognizing our past Vice-Chancellors and also our Pro-Vice-Chancellors. The Registrar of the University, Finance Officer of our great university, our distinguished lecturer, Professor Yaw Debrah, Provost of our colleges, Deans and Directors, Heads of Department, Principals of nursing and midwifery training colleges that are present here with us, members of convocation, senior and junior staff of our great university, the clergy, Nananum, family, and friends of our distinguished scholar. Proud alumni of our university. My dear students coming from our second cycle institutions, and most definitely my dear KNUST students, our friends from the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to all of you. I said good evening to all of you. Thank you very much. I am extremely delighted to chair this inaugural lecture to be delivered by a renowned scholar of our great university, the fourth of its kind to be held this year. Our distinguished professor will, among others, enlighten us on neglected tropical diseases which affect about 1.3 million people in the world, especially in subtropical areas. Across the world, there are about 20 of these diseases, among which are lymphatic filariasis, what we normally would refer to as elephantiasis, onchocerciasis, that is river blindness, borreliosa, leprosy, and many more. How these ailments tend to be sadly neglected will be broken down this evening by our esteemed scholar. In KNUST, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, inaugural lectures play a significant role in our lives as an institution. And indeed, we are very privileged this evening to celebrate a distinguished faculty member who has contributed immensely to research in the causes and control of filarial diseases, not just in Ghana, but also on the continent of Africa and in the world. He doesn't deserve a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our scholars' focus for this evening's presentation will be on eliminating filarial diseases, a new hope for an old battle. Our lecturer will educate us on the causes of filarial diseases which pose significant public health challenges in Africa and other tropical regions. He will show us how his research has been able to use innovative means to identify a cheap and registered drug that destroys filarial adult worms, resulting in the discovery of new regimen in the treatment and management of elephantiasis and river blindness in this country. He will proceed to share some other innovations and technologies that have come in handy in reaching patients in very, very remote areas to improve accessibility to healthcare. And for those of you who could spend time to look at the exhibition, he has done a lot of work. Thank you. Thank you. Our professor will conclude this lecture with some vital recommendations and policy guidelines towards elimination of neglected tropical diseases in Ghana and on the continent of Africa. Professor Alexander Yaw Debrah. Thank you. Thank you. The entire university, including the Department of Medical Diagnostics, the Faculty of Allied Health Sciences, and the College of Health Sciences, is very, very proud to be associated with you. Thank you very much. Indeed, we all join your cherished family, friends, and all other stakeholders in saluting you for how far you have come. Thank you very much. We celebrate your commitment in championing this crucial healthcare subject, which affects many rural communities in the tropics, and yet seems to be receiving so much less attention. Thank you for your devotion to this. Thank you. Thank you. Professor, our scholar, we say Ayiko. Now, I will quickly go on to a brief profile of our esteemed lecturer, but I will advise that you help yourself to what is on our website and what has been provided in the brochure, because I'm going to cut it very short. Professor Alexander Yaw Debrah is a professor of parasitology and global health at the Department of Medical Diagnostics, Faculty of Allied Health Sciences, KNUST. He is a native of Gonu in the Volta region and the third of 10 children born to Mr. and Mrs. Debrah. And I'm told Mr. and Mrs. Debrah are with us. Mom and Dad, can you please stand? Kindly stand, and then we can acknowledge you, Mom and Dad. Can we do it for them? Let's clap for Mr. and Mrs. Debrah for giving us this esteemed professor. Thank you, Papa. Thank you, Mama. Thank you. Please take your seats. Thank you very much. Thank you. Papa and Mama, we are very grateful for this great gift that you have given to this university and to humanity. Prof started his basic education at Achimbodua in the Eastern region and ended at Espresso DA School in the Ashanti region. He obtained his O-level and A-level certificates at Osei Tutu and T.I. Ahmadiyya Senior High Schools. Holds a BSc Biological Sciences and an MPhil in Clinical Microbiology, both from this great university, KNUST. Clap for the university. Thank you. Professor Debrah obtained his doctorate in medical parasitology from KNUST and the University of Bonn, Germany, in 2006 through a DAAD scholarship. He was appointed lecturer at the Department of Medical Diagnostics in 2007 and was promoted to senior lecturer in 2011, associate professor in 2016, and full professor in 2020. Thank you. Thank you. He is currently the Dean of the Faculty of Allied Health Sciences in KNUST and has served on many statutory and non-statutory committees. At the national and international front, he has held many positions, including chairman of the planning committee of the Inter-Science Conference on Antimicrobial Agents and Chemotherapy of the American Society of Microbiology from 2014 to 2016. He is a member of of the American Society of Microbiology and the European Society of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene, among many. The list is long, so just help yourself. He has almost 2 decades of experience in teaching, research, mentorship, and community service. He has supervised several undergraduate and postgraduate students and has nurtured many researchers at KNUST through KCCR. He is currently the group leader of the Filariasis Research Group at KCCR and the director of a multi-country consortium, TEK, that is dedicated to tackling the obstacles to fight filarial infections and podoconiosis here in Ghana, Tanzania, and Cameroon. Thank you. Our distinguished professor is married to a very beautiful lady. Dr. Mrs. Yaw Debrah, also a senior lecturer at the Department of Clinical Microbiology, School of Medical Sciences here at KNUST. Where is Madam? Let's clap for her. Let's clap for her. Yes, thank you so much. Of course, behind every successful man, you will always find a very hard-working and beautiful lady. That is her. Thank you very much. They are blessed with 4 beautiful and handsome children: Gilbert, Vanessa, Kelvin, and Caleb. Where are they? Please, can we see you? Be upstanding. Be upstanding. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Kindly take your seats. Our professor enjoys outdoor workouts and plays table tennis during his leisure times. So you can call him to a competition. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Professor Alexander Yaw Debrah's full profile, including many grants, his service to local and international bodies and agencies, and many more, are detailed in the lecture brochure and also on our website, as I told you earlier. So please, help yourself to them. Now, this is where I'm going to need your help. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with a standing ovation and a big round of applause, make welcome Professor Alexander Yaw Debrah.
Professor Chair, thank you very much for the eloquent introduction. For last week, one professor advised me that the way the chair will introduce you, if you don't take care, if you are caught upstage, you won't even hear. So I asked my provost, who was sitting beside me, to tap me in case I didn't hear. Thank you very much. Vice Chancellor, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Registrar, past Vice Chancellors and Pro-Vice Chancellors, Rep from the German Embassy, Dr. Grabboykin, the current and past Provosts of the Colleges of Health Sciences, Provosts of the Colleges, Deans and Directors, Heads of Departments, Principals of Nursing Training Colleges present, Members of Convocation, the clergy, Nananom, distinguished guests and friends of the university, undergraduate and postgraduate students of KNUST, students and staff of senior high school present, senior and junior staff of the university, ladies and gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is a pleasure and honor for me to stand in front of you today to deliver my inaugural address in this great university of ours, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, which was ranked #1 globally for provision of quality education in 2023. My gratitude goes to the Almighty God for his protection, counsel, mercy, good health, and above all, his grace throughout my academic journey thus far. It is indeed a great pleasure to see family and friends, colleagues, mentors, advisors who have traveled far and near to Kumasi, others from Germany and the US, to be part of this occasion. Professor Chair, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the title of my inaugural lecture is Eliminating Filarial Diseases, New Hope for an Old Battle. It is my conviction that at the end of the lecture, I will be able to convince you that together we can eliminate filarial diseases and neglected tropical diseases from Ghana and Africa to bring new hope to the millions affected by these diseases. The outline of my presentation is as follows. I will give a short academic journey thus far. I will try to define NTDs, that's neglected tropical diseases and filarial diseases, the obstacles we need to overcome to eliminate filarial diseases, the new hope for elimination, some recommendations, acknowledgement and appreciation, and I will conclude and give a take-home message. My academic journey. Prof. Chair and ladies and gentlemen, as a typical African child, my academic journey has been very bumpy. As a son of a civil servant and a mining engineer whose job was met with frequent transfers at the time, my 6-year primary education spanned across 4 schools in 3 regions in Ghana. I started my primary education at Achimbodia, near Achimakwetia, in the eastern region, and then moved on to Greater Accra, then to Abuahu Primary School in Ashanti region, Chapatre Primary in Ashanti region, before finally I settled at SSUDA in the Bosomtwe district. From SSUDA Middle School, I gained admission to the best royal and noble senior high school in Ghana, and guess what? Osei Tutu Senior High School. Prof. Chair, there are only 2 royal senior high schools in Ghana. Osei Tutu Senior High School and all the rest. And in order to take back my seat in peace, I'm not going to mention the rest because I know my provost attended one of them. From Osei Tutu Senior High School, I then move on to Tia Ahmedia Senior High School in Kumasi for my 6th form education. Even though Tia Ahmedia Senior High School was unwilling to admit me because of a clash between them and OT boys during inter-school athletic competition, at the Kumasi Sports Stadium in the previous year, Tia Ahmedia Senior High School realized that I was as noble as most of the OT old boys, including Reverend Professor Frimpong Manson, the immediate power general superintendent of Assemblies of God, Ghana, the very Reverend Bright Yaw Debrah, the current headmaster of Osei Tutu Senior High School, and our own, thank you, and our own professor, Entry Eji, Director of Office of Grant and Research, who are all in the auditorium. In 1993, I gained admission to KNUST. Like many science students, I wanted to read medicine in KNUST, but I didn't get the opportunity. At that time, there were 4 biology-related programs: medicine, pharmacy, biological sciences, and biochemistry. And I was given BSc biological sciences to read. Prof. Chair, even though I was initially a bit disappointed, I was heavily compensated by giving accommodation in the only hall on campus, that's Unity Hall. I knew Unity Hall would bring out the power in me. After my 4-year bachelor's program, I was posted to Confanochi Teaching Hospital, CAT, for my national service. And just after the completion of the national service, I was given an appointment as clinical biologist at CAT. However, I declined the offer because I wanted to be a researcher. I therefore came to Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research in Tropical Medicine, that's KCCR, which had just been established. I had the luck to be appointed as the master student on filariasis project, specifically on the onchocerciasis project, under the leadership of Professor Butner and Professor Akim Horo from Germany, and Professor Hineje from KNUST. As a young and curious student on the lymphatic filariasis project, during one of our field works in one of the coastal villages in the western region, I observed that almost everybody who came for examination in the night had the microfilaria or the baby worm in the blood, which was a sign of infection. Yet, only a very few had lymphedema or had developed elephantiasis of the leg, and about 30% of the men had scrotal swelling or hydrocele. So I asked my German professor, Prof. Butner, of blessed memory, Prof, how come only a few people had the symptomatic diseases, even though almost all the inhabitants of the village had the infection? And this was his answer in our quote, Mr. Debrah, I don't know. When you become a professor of pathology, you can help answer that. Unquote. Prof. Chair, this was a huge inspiration for me. As a professor of pathology, I will answer that question today. Ladies and gentlemen, it was during this period in the communities that I really understood what neglected tropical diseases, or NTDs, meant. Sadly, not only the diseases were and are still neglected, but the affected people are neglected as well. This is why I believe we need to help eliminate these diseases to give new hope to these people. So what are NTDs and filarial diseases? Some of the pictures I will be showing may be disturbing, so viewer discretion is advised here. There is a joke shared by Professor David Molyneux, former director of Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, about an alien who visited the Earth and was asked by an angel how many infectious diseases he saw on Earth. The alien told the angel he could see only 3 diseases. That's malaria, HIV/AIDS, and tuberculosis. All the rest were not important, so were termed neglected tropical diseases. So here we see that even aliens discriminate against certain diseases. These 3 diseases, that's malaria, HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, are termed non-neglected because they receive and continue to receive much attention and resources to fight them. Neglected tropical diseases, on the other hand, are a group of infectious diseases that affect about 1.3 billion people in the world. They are mainly prevalent in tropical and subtropical areas. Quoting Margaret Chan, the former WHO Director General, who said, neglected tropical diseases thrive under conditions of poverty and filth. They tend to cluster in places where housing is substandard, drinking water is unsafe, sanitation is poor, access to healthcare is limited or non-existent, and insect vectors are constant household and agricultural companions. Once you have one or more of such conditions in your community or country, you are likely to have NTDs in that community. There are about 20 of NTDs across the world, but mainly in hard-to-reach areas of Asia, Latin America, and Africa. They affect the poorest of the poor in the world. They are mainly caused by organisms such as parasites, viruses, bacteria, and fungi. NTDs either disfigure or disable their victims, keep children out of school, and parents out of work, thereby limiting their potential and leaving communities in a cycle of poverty. Among the NTDs are lymphatic filariasis, also commonly called elephantiasis, onchocerciasis, also known as river blindness, brewery ulcer, leprosy, dengue fever, rabies, and snake bite. In addition to significant mortality and morbidity, NTDs cause developing communities the equivalent of billions of United States dollars each year in direct health costs, loss of productivity, and reduced socioeconomic activities. Filariasis is a group of NTDs caused by filaria parasites or worms. Among them are lymphatic filariasis, as I said, also called elephantiasis, river blindness, Luaisis, also called African eyeworm, and mancinellosis. Lymphatic filariasis and river blindness are the two major parasitic diseases posing significant public health challenges in Africa and other tropical regions. So far, about 140 million people are infected worldwide. LF, or lymphatic filariasis. Parasites responsible for this disease are transmitted by mosquitoes, leading to chronic and prolonged infections that result in disability such as scrotal swelling, also called hydrocele, which in local language we call echo in Twi, or twake in Nzima, and lymph swelling, or lymphedema, which in local language we call jepim in Twi, and jakeduba in Nzima, which could progress to elephantiasis of the scrotum or the legs. It can also affect other body parts, including the breast and the vulva. LF is an ancient disease and an old battle that mankind has been dealing with. And the earliest evidence of LF came from Egypt, with the statue of King Pharaoh Mentuhotep II, who ruled Egypt from 2055 up to 2004 before Christ even came to this world. Depicting swollen limbs, which are characteristic of the disease, while artifacts from around 500 AD in West Africa also display scrotal swelling. River blindness, on the other hand, ladies and gentlemen, afflict people living along the banks of major rivers such as the Ofen River, the Pra River, and the Volta River. It is characterized by severe itching, disfiguring skin conditions, visual impairment, and permanent blindness. Over 99% of people at risk of river blindness live in 31 countries in Africa, where infected black flies called Samilium that breed in fast-flowing rivers near remote rural villages transmit the disease among local communities. River blindness is the second most important cause of infectious blindness after trachoma. In Ghana, LF was present in at least 98 out of then 200 districts, and river blindness alone affects about 2 million people, at least in 100 districts, all of whom require some form of treatment or intervention. Under the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, the World Health Assembly agrees on Agenda 2030 roadmap for ending neglected tropical diseases. The Agenda 2030 targets include 90% reduction in the number of people requiring treatment for NTDs and elimination of at least one NTD in 100 countries. However, there are obstacles hampering these achievements. What are the main obstacles hampering the elimination of filarial diseases, and how were these obstacles tackled through my research? Ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 major obstacles hindering the control and elimination of filarial diseases. These are: 1, lack of effective treatment for filarial diseases due to lack of drugs that can kill the adult worms. 2, lack of understanding of the mechanisms that lead to the development of elephantiasis and hydrocele. And 3, lack of effective tools to report elephantiasis and hydrocele cases for efficient morbidity management. These three major barriers need to be addressed in order to eliminate filarial diseases. How were they resolved? Ladies and gentlemen, for obstacle 1, filarial disease have two phases, the acute phase and the chronic phase. The acute phase, also called the infectious phase, is when the person has been bitten by the mosquitoes and is infected with the parasite. The parasite will grow to become adult worms and start producing baby worms, which will be picked up by another mosquito to spread the disease. At this stage, the person has not moved to the chronic phase. If the person is not treated with a drug that can kill the adult worm, he will then move to the chronic phase, which is characterized by elephantiasis and hydrocele. At this stage, the elephantiasis and hydrocele patients may not even have the worms anymore. They may therefore require different drugs for management. Therefore, 2 drugs may be needed here. Firstly, drugs that will target those with the infection who have the adult worms, and secondly, drugs for those who have developed the elephantiasis and the hydrocele. The current drugs, that's either DEC or ivermectin plus albendazole, only target the baby worms that spread the infection but do not target the adult worms, which initiate the development of elephantiasis and hydrocele. So an infected person being treated with DEC or ivermectin plus albendazole takes it for 10 to 15 years until the adult worms decide to die naturally. Both DEC or ivermectin plus albendazole are used for mass drug administration in endemic communities to stop the spread of the infection. New antifilarial drugs are therefore needed. Sadly, pharmaceutical companies have no interest in finding new drugs which can kill the adult worms. Why? Because there is no commercial value for these drugs. So even the DEC and ivermectin plus albendazole are donated for free. Prof. Chair, as a teacher, I always like asking questions. So I'll be asking the audience questions from time to time. And my first question is, assuming a friend invited you for a funeral to his hometown, or for a wedding in his hometown, which happens to be one of these endemic communities, either in Nzima East, Ahanta West, Elembele, or in the north. And you know that if you go there and you are bitten by mosquitoes, you may get the infection, and because there is no treatment or drug for killing the adult worm, you may go ahead and develop elephantiasis or hydrocele. What will be your decision? Prof. Chair, I can see a lot of men of God in the auditorium, including pastors of Assemblies of God. And our theme for this year is Send a Light to the Dark World. And if you know that the dark world is one of these endemic communities where you may develop hydrocele or elephantiasis, what will be your decision? Will you become the second Jonah of our time? This is the problem we face. And how did my research help solve this critical problem? In 1977, Prof. Chair, Dr. Koze from USA published that some filarial worms, including Wucheria bancrofti and Onchocerca volvulus, which cause LF and river blindness respectively, harbor some bacteria called Wolbachia. Within them, other filarial worms such as lower or African eyeworms do not have these Wolbachia. However, he didn't know the function of these bacteria in the worms at the time. In 1999, more than 2 decades later, our search for drugs that could kill the adult worms of these filarial worms led the first research effort to find out what happens if we deplete or kill these bacteria within the worms with antibiotics. Therefore, a series of clinical trials were carried out where we treated river-blinded patients with some selected antibiotics. We eventually found that doxycycline, a very cheap, affordable, and already registered drug in Ghana, could kill the bacteria within the worms. We subsequently found that the worms were not able to survive after the bacteria within them are dead, so they also die after 1 year. This is because the worms need some vital nutrients which can only be produced by the Wolbachia bacteria. We first published this in the Lancet Journal and later in other high impact factor journals. This doxycycline regimen kills the adult worms of both river blindness and LF. What this outcome means is that now an infected person takes doxycycline for 4 to 5 weeks, and both the adults and the baby worms that cause river blindness, elephantiasis, and hydrocele will die, and the person will become free forever. Prof. Chair, is this not innovative enough? Now back to my question. Now we have treatment. There is new hope. So if you are asked to send the light to these communities, will you go or you say remain Jonah? Through this discovery, over 3,000 patients have been treated with doxycycline, and these have helped reduce the infection from some endemic communities where we undertook these studies. The communities include Izima East and Ahanta West in the western region for LF, and for river blindness, they include Upper Denchira District in the central region, Adansi South District in Ashanti region, Pru District in the Bono region, and Sefi District in the Western North region. Ladies and gentlemen, the importance of this finding was realized in 2006 when there were reports from Ghana by Dr. Awaji of Huawei Onkusakaisi Research Center and later by Professor Mike Ose Atwinibuana of CSR that ivermectin was no longer able to clear the baby worms in some river blindness patients in the Dembro and Ahafo region. Some of these reports were published in very important journals such as The Lancet, so it created a big concern for the filarial community. That was the time we had also found that doxycycline was able to clear both the baby worm and the adult worms of Onkuseka parasite. So we went to Professor Mike Atwinibuana to look for his patients who were not responding to ivermectin treatment and treated them with doxycycline. Look and behold, as you can see from the graph, 20 months after treatment, more than 95% of those who received doxycycline plus ivermectin had all their worms cleared compared to those who received ivermectin alone. Thank you. This clearly tells you, indeed, those taking ivermectin alone were not responding to treatment, but doxycycline was effective. This important finding actually helped to calm down the nerves of people in the filarial community. These findings from this research were published in important journals, and it also received both local and international media attention, including BBC Focus on Africa and Al Jazeera. I could confidently say that we had identified a drug that can be used to treat both river blindness and LF. These new regimens have now found their way into modern medical textbooks. Based on our research outputs, the Vice Chancellor of KNUST at the time, Professor William Otu Ellis, announced in one of KNUST graduation ceremonies in 2015 that KNUST had found a cure for river blindness. Ladies and gentlemen, my next question was, now we have treatment for the infection. What about those with elephantiasis and hydrocele? The dilemma here is that about 99% of elephantiasis or hydrocele patients do not even have the worms to be targeted. So how do we manage them? This means we need first to find out how the elephantiasis and hydrocele develop so we can look for a way to manage them. This led to the second obstacle to be tackled, that's understanding the mechanism that leads to the development of elephantiasis and hydrocele to facilitate management. For lymphatic filariasis, there are 4 groups of people you can find in an endemic community. These are elephantiasis of the leg patients, hydrocele patients, infected people with the worms but no signs of the disease, and those so-called endemic normals who do not have the infection at all, even though they have stayed in the community for their entire lives. What causes these differences? To the extent that even those who have elephantiasis and hydrocele do not have live worms. This was the very question I asked my German professor, Professor Butzner. From the old textbooks, it is stated and believe that elephantiasis and hydrosis develop as a result of physical blockage of the lymphatic vessels by the worms, which leads to accumulation of fluid in the affected area, leading to enlargement of the leg or the scrotum. However, with the advent of ultrasound machine, we now know that the adult worm is not that big to actually block the lymphatic vessels. Also, about 99% of elephantiasis and hydrosis patients do not even have the worms. Therefore, what actually causes the blockage? You need to know the cause before you can recommend a solution. Professor, it's just like you taking your car to a mechanic, and then the mechanic tells you, I don't know the cause of the problem, but I will try and see. Which in Ghana language we say matramakwe. If your mechanic tells you matramakwe, it means you are in trouble because he even makes the situation worse for you. But for humans, we can't say matramakwe. Therefore, I set out to look for answers. My research work found that both elephantiasis and hydrosis development have genetic tendencies. Both diseases develop not only because of the presence of the worm in the lymphatic vessels alone, but by the genetic makeup inherited from parents as well. I found that elephantiasis and hydrosis develop as a result of overproduction of some molecules or growth factors called vascular endothelial growth factors, which is shortened VEGFs. These molecules are required in the desired quantities to repair the damage caused by the worm. If they are overproduced, they kill the worms, but also cause the lymphatic vessels to get blocked, thereby causing accumulation of fluid, leading to elephantiasis or hydrosis. If they are produced in the desired quantities, they kill just the worms without blocking the lymphatic vessels, leading to endemic normals. On the other hand, if the person underproduces these molecules, the molecules don't kill the worms, and the worms does not develop, and the person does not develop elephantiasis or hydrosis, but remain infected. While some people produce the desired levels or quantities of these molecules, others either underproduce or overproduce them, depending on their genetic makeup. I also found that there are different subtypes of these molecules involved in the processes I've just described. The A type, called the VGFA, is responsible for hydrosis development, and the C and the receptor are responsible for elephantiasis of the leg. The levels of these molecules produced by a person also explain why some people develop bigger hydrosis or elephantiasis within a shorter time than others. For instance, the more VGFA you produce, the bigger the size of your hydrosis, as you can see from the slide. In addition to the VGFs, other molecules such as MMP2, CCAM1, and NF-kappa B have also been found to be involved, which indicates that elephantiasis and hydrosis are complex diseases, as you can see from the slide. So even though you see elephantiasis simple, the mechanism behind it is very complex. This has been confirmed by other researchers globally. Therefore, in modern medical textbooks, it is now written that elephantiasis and hydrosis are caused by overproduction of VGFs and not necessarily by the physical blockage by the adult worms. Ladies and gentlemen, now that we know that elephantiasis and hydrosis are caused by overproduction of these molecules, what intervention have we proposed and validated? From literature, I found that, coincidentally, the same doxycycline which we had earlier used to kill the adult worms could be used to treat VGF-related diseases. I therefore led clinical trials conducted in the western region of Ghana and discovered that doxycycline was equally effective in managing and improving the conditions of elephantiasis patients. The improvement was more pronounced in early stages of the elephantiasis, but less in the advanced stages. In the early stages, doxycycline could revert the leg or scrotum to a lower stage, as can be seen from the slide. However, in the advanced stage, reversion is less likely, but it could halt the progression to the next stage. Ladies and gentlemen, one key thing about people who have elephantiasis and hydrosis is that they experience frequent pain attacks called adenolymphadenitis or ADL attacks. This pain attack is associated with fever, swelling of the legs, peeling of the skin, and the patient becomes bedridden and incapacitated. They are not able to carry out their farming or fishing activities, so they become dependent on family members. Fortunately, with doxycycline treatment, the frequency of pain attacks goes down. About 60% of our patients confirm that 2 years after doxycycline treatment, they have seen significant reduction in the number of pain attacks. Through this work, over 1,000 elephantiasis patients in Ghana have been treated with doxycycline. The treatment saw improvement in the quality of lives of the treated patients, which manifested as ability of the patients to carry out their farming and fishing activities and reduction in social stigmatization. After the finding of doxycycline as a potent drug for elephantiasis management in 2018, under the TEK project, my research team received over 3.5 million euros from the German Ministry of Education and Research to find a lasting treatment for elephantiasis. Under this grant, we scaled up the treatment of elephantiasis patients with doxycycline and added simple foot hygiene as recommended by WHO in a multi-country trial. This multi-country trial was carried out in Ghana, Tanzania, Mali, Sri Lanka, and in India. In Ghana, it was carried out in the Upper East region, where transmission of LF has stopped, but the people still had the elephantiasis. Our research led to a new finding that where there is no ongoing transmission, such as in the Upper East region, there is no need administering doxycycline. Rather, WHO approved simple foot hygiene alone, when followed religiously, is effective. Foot hygiene or foot care includes practices such as washing legs, exercise, and elevation of the legs. My new recommendation, therefore, is that in areas where there is ongoing transmission, the use of doxycycline plus simple foot hygiene should be employed. But where transmission has been halted, simple foot hygiene alone will be effective. I made this recommendation in my presentation last year at the United Nations General Assembly Science Summit in New York, when I was invited to present how our work is helping to achieve specific UN Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you. These groundbreaking findings have won several international awards, including German Paul-Ehrlich Society for Anti-Infective Therapy and the prestigious German Memento Prize for neglected tropical diseases. The third obstacle to tackle was the lack of effective tools to actually report LF mobility cases for efficient management. To achieve the WHO NTD Agenda 2030 targets, which stipulates that every elephantiasis and hydrosis patient must be identified for management, effective tools for reporting cases are really needed. The traditional method of paper-based reporting by community health volunteers has been good. However, it has faced a number of challenges. These challenges border on underreporting of cases, incomplete data capture, and data inaccuracy because the community health volunteers who report them are mostly without formal education. It also takes away the timely access to data to inform policy decisions in real time. Ladies and gentlemen, in recent years, the use of mobile phones has massively increased in the country, and almost every home has a phone, even in the remotest villages in Ghana where LF is endemic. I therefore ask myself, how could we use mobile phones in identifying and reporting persons with elephantiasis and hydrocele for effective management, even in the remotest villages in Sirigu or Navio in the Upper East region? We therefore employ the use of mobile phones in Upper East region to identify new cases of elephantiasis and hydrocele patients and also patients with the pain attacks for management. We train community health volunteers to report into a web-based system using simple non-smartphones in voice messaging manner, which they could easily do. Using this system, the community health volunteers were able to report close to 4 times higher than the current traditional Ghana Health Service paper-based method. In the case of hydrocele, the system was able to record more than 1.5 times higher than the number of cases compared to the Ghana Health Service records in the MDA registry. Prof. Chair, this research outcome has 3 important practical applications. The first one is we were able to locate and report almost all elephantiasis and hydrocele cases In every corner of the 2 districts we work, namely Katsina-Nankana Municipal and Katsina-Nankana West District in the Upper East region. These data were fed into the District Health Information Management System of the Ghana Health Service in 2022. Consequently, in 2023, Ghana Health Service National NTD Control Program reported that Upper East region had the highest elephantiasis cases in Ghana. This was because of our research data, which was fed into the DIMS. The second outcome of this research was that when the National NTD Control Program wanted high-risk patients who needed surgery in the Upper East region, we handed over this data to them, and they could easily locate the high-risk patients in the communities for surgery. Finally, if an elephantiasis patient gets pain attack in the remotest community, they could call into the system for help, irrespective of where they are located. And by so doing, we help achieve SDG 4.3, which says, do not leave anybody behind. Interestingly, regarding the ability of community health volunteers to report accurately, female volunteers were better reporters than males. What this means is that give the female equal opportunity and they will perform. So what females need, what they need is equal opportunity and no concession. What then constitutes the new hope for this old battle? Prof. Chair, ladies and gentlemen, for the sake of time, I want to summarize how the impact of my research contributes to eliminating filarial diseases to give new hope to the millions out there. The first one is available treatment options. Unlike some years back, we have now identified doxycycline as a very affordable drug that can be used to treat both infection and the disease of LF and river blindness. And WHO has endorsed this regimen for individual treatments. Beside the treatment, what capacity have I built to combat LF? Together with my research partners, we have established the Filaria Clinical Trial and Research Platform called the FQ to address the patient needs and also train health personnel on how to conduct clinical trials in a good clinical practice compliant manner. This much appreciated platform will not only be used by filariasis clinical trial, but can be used for any other drug trial. I've organized several workshops on food hygiene as recommended by WHO for elephantiasis patients and health workers, including nurses, physician assistants, community health volunteers in the Western and Upper East regions of Ghana. Thank you. In collaboration with hospitals in endemic communities and other professionals, we have also carried out free surgeries for high-risk patients in endemic communities. These interventions are meant to complement the work of the Ghana National NTD Control Program. In addition, with other professionals, we have carried out surgeries on over 1,000 river blinded patients in remote areas of Ghana to remove onchocercal nodules which contain the adult worms. In the course of executing various projects, I established field labs in all places I work, including Dunkwa Government Hospital, New Adibiasi Hospital, Esiama Health Center, and Diskov District Hospital. After the expiration of the project, I donate the lab facilities to the hospital to use to sustain capacity building efforts. I have established student and immunopathology research lab at the Faculty of Allied Health Sciences at the Boadi Enclave. This lab is not only used by filariasis research and students and staff only, but other staff from the College of Health Sciences and their international partners. Ladies and gentlemen, I was part of the first cohort of young African scientists to win European Foundation Initiative on Neglected Tropical Diseases called FENTD, both the junior and the senior fellowships. After several years, when the initiative was turned into network, that's African Network for Neglected Tropical Diseases called ARNTD, in collaboration with other colleagues, we were very instrumental to have it established at KNUST. ANTD exists to support elimination of NTDs from Africa by empowering current and future generations of African researchers. When we wanted a formidable person to take over as executive director, again, myself and other colleagues were very instrumental in electing Dr. John Amoasi as executive director. I am happy that Dr. John Amoasi has taken ANTD to the next level, to the extent that it was announced on July 26, 2024, just last 2 weeks, that researchers in Africa are now going to receive financial support aimed at advancing research and innovative solutions to eliminate NTDs on the continent through ARNTD. With other colleagues from KNUST, we work with our German partner to receive over 2.5 million euros from the German Academic Exchange Service, that's DAD, in 2021 to establish German West African Center for Global Health and Pandemic Prevention, called GWAC. The center is one of the 8 DAD-funded global centers for climate and health. It aims to address the threat of pandemics to the health and welfare of people by targeting both the main drivers of pandemics and the key pillars of resilient health system in the WHO framework using One Health approach. The center is currently training 4 PhD students at KNUST on pandemic prevention and preparedness. We also support masters and PhD students from the West African sub-region to do their lab work at KNUST, which is fully sponsored by the center. GWAC also received masters and PhD students from Germany to our labs here at KNUST. And as I deliver this lecture, I have 5 of the German students currently in my lab who are here in the auditorium. Prof. Chair, Filariasis project is the oldest and longest project at Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, which is a research center at the College of Health Sciences. Filariasis project is 25 years this year, and we celebrated our 20th anniversary in 2019. Through various collaborations and grants, our purchased state-of-the-art equipment for immunology, molecular biology, and other diagnostic assessment, and have purchased a fleet of cross-country vehicles for field work. These equipment are not used by Filariasis staff alone, but they are at the disposal of anybody who needs them at KCCR. The Filariasis project has also contributed significantly to KCCR research portfolio. Through my research work, I have trained over 40 master students and more than 10 PhD students, some of whom are serving in the various schools and faculties across KNUST. I can mention a few like Dr. Isi Boateng and Dr. Babanasen, who are senior lecturers at the medical school and also serving in the various capacities at the KNUST hospital. Dr. Alex Kwatin, a senior lecturer at the Department of Biochemistry, KNUST. Dr. Jume Osemensa, a lecturer at the School of Veterinary Medicine, KNUST. And Dr. Vera Sewa Opoku, a postdoc at KCCR. I make sure that my master's and PhD students are sent to international labs, especially in Germany, in Prof. Akim's fellow lab, and other European countries to learn new laboratory skills as part of their training. I've also won grant to facilitate Erasmus exchange of students and faculty between KNUST and German institutions. Ongoing and future research. Prof. Chair, please permit me to mention how some of my ongoing research activities are going to help eliminate filarial diseases from Ghana. LF used to be endemic in 98 districts in Ghana, but has been eliminated except in 7 districts in 3 regions. My research team is going to undertake the following projects in some of the hotspot areas. The first one is alternative treatment for elimination of lymphatic filariasis in Ghana, which we term test and treat in hotspots. In the hotspot districts, our data have shown that it is only a few people who still have the infections, yet mass drug administration with ivermectin is going on where everybody in the district is treated. This we think is not cost effective. Therefore, we are going to identify these few people and give them alternative treatments such as doxycycline or moxidectin and compare the results with many rounds of mass drug administration with ivermectin with ivermectin. Such a strategy, if successful, will help accelerate the elimination of LF and river blindness in Ghana. My next ongoing research is trying to identify the microorganisms in the skin wounds of elephantiasis patients and also pin down on the exact microorganism or germs that cause the pain attacks and assess their antimicrobial resistance levels in order to define better treatment guidelines for elephantiasis patients. I'm also expanding the use of digital and mobile technology by community health volunteers to identify new and old elephantiasis and high-risk cases in other districts for both surveillance and management, and also expand this technology to other NTDs such as Yaw, Guru ulcer, river blindness, and leprosy. Last but not least, Prof. Chair, I'm part of the group forming the African Genomic Consortium, whose goal is to study the genomics and medical genetics of African diseases, including infectious diseases. I already met Dr. Vamus, the Nobel Prize winner of medicine in 1989, and Dr. Rotimi, the scientific director of the National Human Genome Research Institute of NIH, during the UN General Assembly Science Summit in the US. And KNUST-TEK will become part of this consortium. Now, recommendation for eliminating filarial diseases and NTDs in Ghana and Africa. I'll give some policy considerations. Having said all this, what are my recommendations as far as control and elimination of filarial diseases and NTDs are concerned? I prefer the following recommendations. The first one is NTDs control should be a priority in our national health policies. Filarial diseases, like all the NTDs, affect the poorest of the poor. Our data have shown that elephantiasis and hydrosis patients cannot afford basic medical bills. We therefore need to add elephantiasis and hydrosis management to the list of the National Health Insurance Scheme diseases. Also, as a nation, we need to include elephantiasis patients on livelihood empowerment against poverty called LIP, which is a social protection intervention by the government of Ghana with the aim of reducing extreme poverty. This will improve the quality of lives of the elephantiasis patients. We need to regularly assess the effectiveness of control programs and adjust strategies as needed. Our experiences from Yaw's eradication program and other NTD programs, both local and international, teach us that the last 1% of patients left is as equally important as the first 99% we successfully treated. Therefore, we should not close the books on eliminated NTDs too quickly. Otherwise, there may be reactivation. Leveraging on technology, we need to harness digital solutions by expanding the use of digital and mobile technologies by community health volunteers so they'll be able to identify new and old elephantiasis and hydrosis cases in their communities for both surveillance and management. In this case, the last patient in the community can be identified for treatment so that nobody is indeed left behind. Promoting community engagement and education. Let us raise awareness about NTDs, their prevention and treatment to encourage community participation. Once the communities accept it as a collective responsibility, we can all tackle the obstacles to eliminate these diseases. Acknowledgement and words of appreciation. Prof. Chair, please permit me to acknowledge some people who helped me in my academic journey. My first gratitude goes to my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Debrah, for their investment in my education, despite all the challenges. May the good Lord bless you. I also acknowledge the support of my brothers and sisters, cousins, and my entire family who have gathered here from far and near. My next gratitude goes to my academic mentor, Professor Akim Hwerov, who traveled all the way from Germany to be part of this event. I carried out my master's and PhD research work with you. Thank you for your advice throughout my academic journey. We have been working together for the past 25 years. When we talk of North-South collaboration, KNUST-born University 1 is a good model for others to emulate. I also thank my other German partners and colleagues in Bonn University Hospital, German government agencies such as DAAD, German Ministry of Education and Research, and all my external partners, collaborators, and funders who are either here in the auditorium or watching online. Prof. Chair, my next gratitude goes to my beautiful wife. Dr. Mrs. Linda Yaw Debrah. They say behind every successful man, there is a woman. My wife has never been behind. She's always by my side. I met my wife on the filariasis project when I was leaving for Germany for my PhD work. She then came on the project as master student to be trained to take over from me. Prof. Chair, I taught her everything she was supposed to know. Without any string attached. It was during this period that I saw she was very hardworking and she worked without getting tired. It is very pleasant but not easy to be married to a very hardworking lady like her, who was adjudged the best mid-career researcher of KNUST in 2023. And the following year, 2024, adjudged the best teaching lecturer in the medical school. With such a hard-working woman, you cannot afford to work, but must always be running. And that has inspired me to keep running. There are pros and cons when you are in the same field with your spouse. But in our case, the pros far outnumber the cons. The only cons we have is that sometimes we wake up in the middle of the night to discuss family issues, but before we realize, we are discussing elephantiasis legs. Prof. I remember once I woke her up at 2 a.m. to discuss family issue, and before we realized there was this lady whose leg was going to be amputated because the leg had become so big. So we were trying to see how we can help. After helping me to find a solution, we went back to bed around 5 a.m. But before we went to bed, she called and said, "Daddy, so you woke me up at 2 a.m. till 5 a.m. to discuss the leg of another lady." Dr. Mrs. Debrah, thank you very much for being there for me. I always remember these words of yours, "Daddy, you'll be fine." I want to thank my children, Gilbert, Vanessa, Kelvin, and Caleb, for their unflinching support. Prof. Chair, my next gratitude goes to my in-laws, especially my mother-in-law, Mrs. Regina Ochri, and my father-in-law. Thank you. And my father-in-law, Nana Professor Oshia from Pom Mensa, I don't think of Asante Achim Domiabra. Nana. Nana, thank you for giving me your beautiful daughter. My next gratitude goes to the Vice Chancellor of KNUST, Professor Mrs. Rita Kusha-Dixon, and all the past Vice Chancellors, current and past Pro-Vice Chancellors for the support. Without your support, I couldn't have achieved all this. In fact, KNUST gave me excellent platform. My next gratitude goes to the Scientific Director of Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, KCCR, and all staff and all KCCR staff for the support, especially my filariasis project team. You are such a wonderful team that people always ask if I carefully choose only the best ones. I also thank Professor Ohinegye for his mentorship. I thank the National NTD Control Program, the current and past directors, the regional health directors, and the NTD staff in all the regions I work, who are also in the auditorium here. My next gratitude goes to my alma mater, the only Royal Senior High School in Ghana, or say to two Senior High School. Abraham Pong. I also thank my Conti fellows, both here in the auditorium and online. Conti Power. Prof. Chair, I thank my church members, Living Waters Assemblies of God, who are here in their numbers. Thank you very much, and I love you all. I also thank the eminent professors who read through my script for me, especially Prof. Robert Abedu and Professor Edu Sarkodie, for the good work. Prof. I remember I gave it to these eminent two professors. Prof. Edu Sarkodie, who is a clinician, read through and said, I understand everything. You can go ahead. Then Prof. Abedu called me and said, Alex, I don't understand anything. Come down to my level. I'm very grateful to my inaugural committee members and the public lecture committee members for all the preparations, and the public lecture committee for the opportunity to deliver my inaugural lecture in this great university. Finally, I want to thank all the students here from Osei Tutu Senior High School, Kumasi High School, Bosomtwe Girls Term Senior High School, my undergraduate and postgraduate students. I urge you all to work hard and seize every opportunity to solve societal problems. Whatever program you are offering, just do it well. Try to identify problems around you and find solutions to them. Conclusion and take-home message. Prof. Chair, ladies and gentlemen, as I prepare to take my seat, I want to conclude by saying that we now have a drug that can kill the adult worms of lymphatic filariasis parasite. Therefore, the infection can now be better treated. Elephantiasis can now be better managed. We have a drug for treating river blindness. Capacity has been built to combat filarial diseases. Filarial disease can be eliminated to achieve WHO Agenda 2030 in Ghana. I am therefore very optimistic that governments and stakeholders, including National NTD Control Program, KNUST, and my research team, can effectively control and eliminate filarial disease in Ghana by 2030. Prof. Chair, this is the new hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please be seated. So on this 8th day of August 2024, in the year of our Lord, the Professorial Inaugural Lecture on the topic, Eliminating Filarial Diseases, a New Hope for an Old Battle, has duly been delivered by distinguished Professor Alexander Yaw Debrah. So to signify his admission into the College of Professors of this great university, I respectfully invite the Vice Chancellor, the Pro-Vice Chancellor, the Registrar, and the Chairman of the KNUST Public Lecture Committee to robe him. So, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Alexander Yaw Debrah, a professor of parasitology and global health at the Department of Medical Diagnostics. Congratulations, Prof. I respectfully now invite Prof's Chief of Staff, who is the wife, and his teaching assistants, the children, to present a bouquet of flowers and congratulate their dad. Ladies and gentlemen, a loud round of applause. This is the product Thank you very much. This is the product of our laboratories. I now understand why the Vice Chancellor, at a time when we have so much lab, is building a very huge one, which means we'll be producing more of this, right? Okay, so my pleasure now to welcome our distinguished personalities to congratulate him. I begin with former Vice Chancellors, Professor K.K. Adakwa, Professor Kwesi Obri-Danso, former Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Peter Donko, Professor Charles Ansa. Our finance officer, please follow suit to congratulate him. Our internal auditor, Mr. Moses Chikwe, please take turns to congratulate Professor Debrah. And I invite our College of Professors who are distinguishedly gowned in very unique gowns. Please welcome Professor Christian Ejare, Professor Leonardo Mekuji, Professor Kwabna Brichum-Nyako, Professor Michael Buensi, so anytime you see professors in this particular kind of gown, they are those who have been promoted to the rank of professors and have delivered their lectures. So in no particular order, shall we please invite the following dignitaries as well to congratulate him. Please welcome the Director of KCCR, Professor Richard Odame Phillips. Representing the German ambassador, please welcome Dr. Gerard Boken. And of course, his academic mentor and tutor, please follow suit, Professor Akim Horef, Director of IMMIP. Our provost, if you are around, please take turns to congratulate him. And then to our invited guest, CEO of Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, Professor Ochre Ademensa, Dr. Emmanuel Mafo, Member of Parliament for Furikrum constituency. The MC of Asokwa Municipal Assembly, Honorable Akwenuasa Jima. Thank you for coming. The head of laboratories, KCCR, all team members of GWAC, if you are around. And of course, Ingrid, please take your turn as well to, yes. Professor Michael Say, Atrinibuana, Director CSIR Water Research Institute, Accra. Thank you very much for coming. Come and say hello. Reverend Professor Paul Frimpong Manso, former General Superintendent of the Assemblies of God. Nane J. Sikapa, Achim Afosu Jasehene, Reverend Alex Edujemfi, Senior Pastor, Living Waters Assemblies of God, Kumasi, Right Reverend Yaw Osei, Headmaster, Osei Tutu Senior High School, Reverend Entry Boatin, Abesim Methodist Church, Abesim Sunyane, Reverend Tony Amwako Hene, former Senior Pastor of Living Waters, Chiefs and Elders from Espresso, please take your turns to congratulate our distinguished professor. As for Mommy and Daddy, he will come to congratulate you. They will not want to disturb you. Thank you, Nananum. Reverend Father Augustine K. Pepra, Assistant Principal of St. Louis College of Education, Reverend Father Albert Morites Oti Ajiman, St. Martin de Porres Catholic Church, Atonsua Gogo, Reverend Father Louis Safo, St. Martin de Porres, all of you take your turns. And then reps of the senior high schools here present, Old Students Association. To the senior high schools here, we thank you for coming. If we ask you to come and congratulate, we will not close today. So take inspiration from what is happening. Now we shall have our gift presented. I begin with the College of Health Sciences, led by the Provost, to present a gift to Professor Debrah. Faculty of Allied Health Sciences, you are next. Please be on standby. After this presentation, you take your turn. So the faculty and the Department of Medical Diagnostics, KCCR and projects will be after the faculty. Living Waters Assemblies of God will follow. Thank you very much, Provost. Thank you. college finance officer and college registrar. Prof, you may have to find spaces in your home and offices to contain all these. So this is the Faculty of Allied Health Sciences and the Department of Medical Diagnostics. Thank you. Next to present is the KCCRM projects. Okay, so KCCR, sorry, please hold on. I hear department is coming as a separate entity. So the Department of Medical Diagnostics. And now KCCRM projects. Hey, is that him you are holding? And now to the entity that fought all the spiritual battles on his behalf, Living Waters Assemblies of God, Kumasi. Osai to be on standby. It looks like the whole congregation of the church represented. So, Prof is an old boy, class of 1984 to 1989 of Osai Tutu Senior High School. Shall we now call on the school to make their presentation? Hey. Thank you very much, OT. OT, kindly double up because Unity Hall is warming. And the last group to present is a hall that Prof really gave all the fans to. Please welcome fellows of Unity Hall. All right, so finally, some family members who didn't get the opportunity to congratulate him, quickly, let's take our turns. Family members of Prof. Debrah. Hey. Thank you very much, family members.
No, acknowledge the principles of
Okay. All right. That's okay. Thank you very much. family of Professor Debrah, we are grateful. We acknowledge the presence of principals of the nursing and midwifery training institutions here present. Thank you very much for coming. And these are reps of Confucius Institute. They are involved in every activity of the university. Thank you, Confucius Institute. Thank you. Shall we have a musical interlude? Thank you, Prof. Please take your seat. A loud round of applause for him again. This is beautiful. Shall we please applaud Ejafo Nimo and Agofoma? Thank you. We are gradually drawing the curtains down on this program. Before we take the closing prayer, shall we please observe the following announcements? When the session comes to an end, all invited guests shall proceed to the senior staff clubhouse for refreshments. The senior high schools who can please proceed to your buses, and it's late. You would have to get back to school as early as possible. I mean to say everything is sorted out in your bus, right? So don't worry about that. Shall we please rise as I invite the Protestant chaplain, Reverend Dr. J.W. Echampon, to say the closing prayer.
Please let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, we praise and bless your holy and mighty name for the gift of our lives and the gift of today. As a university, we owe you a lot of gratitude for all that you do for us and through us and with us. We thank you for using this institution as a vehicle to prosecute your agenda of bringing life in fullness to humanity, especially the poor and the vulnerable and the sick. We thank you, O God, for the life of Professor Alexander Yaw Debrah. We give you all the glory for all the investment that has gone into his education and formation, making him an instrument in your hands to bring hope, a new hope for an old battle, which is almost over. We thank you for his contribution to science and medicine. We thank you for his contribution to making people's life better. We pray, O God, asking that whatever is left for the dream to be a reality, that by 2030, all these sicknesses will be a thing of the past, will be a reality. We pray, O God, that you continue to use this university to bless humanity, both in Ghana and beyond. Continue to bless us as an institution, bless us as a nation, and glorify yourself in our lives. As you're about living here, we commend ourselves to you, pleading your mercy, traveling mercies, your protection, and your care. Take each and every one of us, both in Ghana and beyond, to our various destinations at the right time. And we will have cause to praise you for what you have done and continue to do for us. These and many more blessings we ask through Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen. Thank you.
Please remain standing as we sing the university anthem. Control room. Thank you. KNUST students, please remain behind after the recession. Please remain standing for the recession of the Vice Chancellor and our Speaker.